It's not easy being a Muslim in this European country. There is not one single mosque here. Islam can't be taught in schools, and the 5,000-member Muslim community is not officially recognized.
People migrate for many reasons, ranging from security, demography, and human rights to poverty and climate change. In 2019, it was reported that the number of people residing in a European country with the citizenship of a non-member country was 21.8 million, representing 4.9% of the European 27's population. Generally speaking, there are several reasons why people choose to migrate to Europe. Aside from their free and universal education for all children, along with their economical power in most countries, their secular system of government became one of the reasons why migrants were attracted, as it comes with the promise of free religious observance for all and not just an official religion. However, the presence of migrants became the main challenge to social peace and coexistence of different cultures, religions, and ethnicities, as not all receiving countries were friendly to those who migrated. One of the phenomena that shows a clear example of the ill treatment is the refugee crisis in Europe. There were low-skilled native workers who felt threatened and displaced by migrants, causing the anti-immigration wave to surge. With immigrants filling up the population in European countries, they will have to adapt with the lives there, and they also face some discrimination. Islamophobia came as one of the major forms of discrimination present. In this video, we will be discussing the prejudice towards Muslims in Europe.
Islam has always been seen as an aggressor in Western society. The Western view of Islam as an aggressor in Western society is very unfounded because Muslims live in a multicultural society where there is a diversity of various cultures and religions wanting to live a life in harmony together despite the differences. Islam has always been seen as an aggressor in Western society. The Western view of Islam as an aggressor in Western society is very unfounded because Muslims live in a multicultural society where there is a diversity of various cultures and religions wanting to live a life in harmony together despite the differences. It takes awareness for a multicultural society to see the side of Muslims who are faced with a dilemma in addressing certain racial elements to their existence where they are often attacked because they are Muslim. Apart from this assumption, Islam, which gets a bad image in society, raises another prejudice. Islam is always associated with the practice of terrorism, which can be a threat to the Western civilization. In addition, Eurocentric does not consider Islam as a form of religion that must be tolerated, but rather as an aggressive and negative impact on society as a whole. Islamophobia is a major media problem in European countries. In Europe, France is the country that most often overestimates its Muslim population. France believes that 31% of its population is Muslim and is accusing them of endangering their democracy. While the actual figures show that Muslims only make up 7.5% of the population in France. The invasion of France by non-whites in one of the France media coverage is full of references to the idea that Islam and migrants have destroyed the purity of European identity. The French media in this regard play a very significant role in promoting the issue of Islamophobia. This is clearly seen in the case of Le Point magazine. Back in 2012, Le Point, which is one of the most popular magazines in the country, insulted and angered the Muslim community by publishing pictures of 10 women protesting the law banning the use of hijab in all schools, hospitals, public transport, and government offices as the covers of the magazines, and marking them as a terror that needs to be on the front page of their magazine. This is not the first time the magazine has shown an anti-Islam stance in its magazine. One of them, entitled Islamists and Us, their strategy to infiltrate the West, clearly describes the agenda of Islamic alarmism in Europe, especially in France. A survey conducted by Le Figaro, a well-known newspaper in France, shows that 68% of the French people think the reason for the alarmism against the Muslim community is because there is a refusal from the Muslim side to integrate into French society. There are also 43% who think that the presence of the Muslim community in France is a substantial threat to their identity. It is also reported 25.9% of the British hold a negative opinion of the Muslim population in England, which leads to discriminatory attitudes towards them. Almost 49% of Germans believe that Islam is not compatible with German society, and 29% suggest anything related to Muslim practice in Germany should be restricted. Islam has always been associated with violence, and its role tends to be seen as antagonistic. There is a long history and reasons why Islam has always been associated with violence. In this increasingly advanced era, both in the fields of technology and information, the West's prejudices or suspicions against Muslims are getting bigger. This shows that racial discrimination and hate crimes in the world have not found a way out at all, not even an idea to solve it. This hatred includes xenophobia and Islamophobia developed over time, and not only by the people, but also by the government and the country itself. This is often called alarmism, which means spreading exaggerated rumors and exaggerated warnings about real or imagined threats and often has a hidden agenda behind it. Western media and governments play a large role in alarmism. It can be in various forms, but in the news or media it is often called yellow journalism, which consists of sensationalizing news coverage to exaggerating small risks. The government also openly expresses its hatred of Islam by imposing such hatred on its people, as can be seen from several policies and steps taken, including the case of vigilance. Some Muslim individuals find life in the West very difficult for them. They are often seen as aggressors in Western society.
There are many historical, cultural, and social origins to the severe and widespread wave of anti-immigrant Islamophobia that Europe has been dealing with for at least the last 2 decades. Muslim immigrants are the first, largest, and most deeply entrenched non-European communities to have entered and established in modern Europe for employment reasons, according to social origins. Islamophobia is a significant influence in this regard, as it contributes to the transformation of this segment of the European working class into a backward, religious minority by portraying Islam as directly responsible for the problem and Muslim immigrants as victims of their own culture. According to Zaid, the Orientals were denied the chance to speak for themselves. One must keep in mind that there are Muslim scientists working today, along with media from Islamic nations. Muslims can therefore speak for themselves, but in the context of Europe, Russian newspapers adopt a wide outlook in their reporting, talking to them about Muslims rather than presuming that they are talking to Muslims. Thus, it may be assumed that Muslim representation in European newspapers is either minimal or non-existent. As a result, others, including journalists represent them.
The Western perception of Islam as the aggression in Western civilians is false, and Muslims live in a multicultural society where many cultures and religions wish to live harmony together despite their difference. This need multicultural society to see the viewpoint of Muslims who are covered with a boundary is aggressive some radical demands to their life, where they are frequently targeted because they are Muslim. Islam has always been connected with violence for the variety of reasons. Is this highlight advanced era of technology and communication? The West, because of suspicion about Muslims are growing Islamophobia, has a hard impact in this regard. It is reasonable to assume that Muslim responsible in European newspapers is others minimal and non-existent because it contributes to the transformation of the segment of the European working class into a backward religious minority by portraying Islam and directly responsible for the problem and Muslim immigrants as victims of their own culture. The national government should use civic and national awareness campaign and advertisement to ensure that lawmakers, staff, other authorities, and general public are clearly aware to current legislative right and procedure for traders toward prejudice on ground of religion or belief. As government agencies should help potential citizens, including Muslims, to reach their concern and demand. Decision makers in Europe should ensure fair justice, resolving inequity based on faith and ideology and in education. Statistical organizations and agencies should gather reliable statistics on minorities in order to promote a based strategy to encourage diversity and address discrimination of Islamophobia and Muslim migrants in Europe.